Good evening everyone, respected faculty members and my fellow students. Today I'll be speaking on a topic that forms the lifeline of Indian democracy. I will reiterate the topic. The topic is electoral process and the rise of regional parties in India. Elections are not just a periodic event, they are the very pulse of our democracy, a system through which people express their will and renew their faith in governance. India, the world's largest democracy, conducts elections on a scale unmatched in human history. Nearly 1 billion voters, millions of polling staff and countless political parties working together in one of the most complex exercises of collective decision making. So the objectives of this talk are: the presentation outlines how elections in India are conducted, the structure, rules and institutions involved. It explains key components such as the Election Commission of India and gives light about its failure. It will also touch on the challenges faced such as the electoral malpractices and the voter turnout logistics and reform suggestions. This is intended to educate the audience about the democratic processes, the institutional checks and the rise of regional parties in our country. So, what's my name? My name is Nikita, a third-year political science student of Motilal Nehru College Evening. And on behalf of Manzil, we thank GSTS for giving us this wonderful opportunity. Thank you to all of you for helping us broaden our spirits. And now, if I go back to myself, I have been an avid enthusiast of elections across different countries, but always mistaking that elections in India are smooth and uncomplicated. But the more I understood about elections in our country, the more disappointingly amazed I became. So here is my take on the elections of the largest democracy in the world. Can I have the first slide, please? Okay. So in the first slide, I have put together some general facts about how large the elections in our country is. For example, if we consider the 2024 Lok Sabha, did you know there were around 979 million registered voters in India, while only about 646 million votes were polled? The registered third gender electorals increased by 23.5% to get a staggering 48,272 votes, which was in 2019 around 39,000. And also the transgender voter turnout also increased, since it rose up from 14.64 to 27.9%. And also the voters with persons with disability quota also rose. And the best of all, the number of registered political parties in India, which is around 2,660. These facts are just to give you an understanding of how large our country is as a whole. So in the next couple of slides, we will see the history of elections in our country. Now, if we focus on this book, which was written by none other than V.S. Ramadevi and S.K. Mandirita, two eminent figures in Indian electoral history, who have made lasting contribution to the country's democratic institutions. V.S. Ramadevi served as the Chief Election Commissioner of India in 1990 and later as the Governor of Himachal Pradesh and Karnataka. She has also held key positions such as the Secretary General of Rajya Sabha, the member of Secretary of the Law Commission of India. And who is S.K. Mandirita? He has been the legal advisor to the Election Commission and Delimitation Commission of India. He has served roles such as Director and the Principal Secretary of the same. So in 2004, he represented India on the world stage as the UN-appointed Election Commissioner for Afghanistan, overseeing its first presidential election. So in their book, How India Votes, Elections, Law and Practice Procedures, they highlighted that elections are not new to India. Buddhist texts and Greek records mention ancient Indian republics and states described as pure democracies. These references show that selective decision-making and public participations were a part of India long before modern democracy, unlike what some of the Britishers want us to believe. So, what was the evolution of elections in India? Elections in India are not a modern invention. They are rooted in our civilization's long-standing belief in collective decision-making and public participation. From ancient times, India has governed their communities through consensus and cooperation. whether at family level or state level. Our Vedic scriptures are filled with references to the republics and democratic assemblies that flourished in various parts of ancient India. The Vaishali Ganrajya is one of the best known examples where citizens choose their own leaders, known as Ganpatis, to guide them in peace and war, assisted by councils resembling our modern day ministers. The Election Commission of India, in its first annual report, that is after the 1951-52 general elections, also noted that the republican form of government existed in India way before Britishers. The Buddhist literature and the Greek accounts speak of states described as pure democracies and the aristocratic republics. Even as far as the 4th century BC, the Kusdrak Malak Sangha, a republic federation, stood strong against Alexander the Great, a remarkable testament to India's democratic freedom. In many of these republics, every adult male had the right to vote and participate in public assemblies that decided community affairs. With population growth, direct participation became harder, leading to emergence of representative systems. The idea of voting was called chanda, meaning wish, symbolizing the expression of one's free will. Votes were cast using multicolored pins known as shala, collected by an officer known as Shalagraha, which you would love to guess is representing our polling officers today. Parallel to these republics, village communities, later known as panchayats, evolved as self-governing and democratic institutions. They managed local affairs through mutual consultations, embodying democracy at the grassroots level, even without formal ballets or elections. Over time, as elections expanded, our empires expanded, these republican systems were absorbed but never fully erased. Even under the Muslim rule, village assemblies and trade guides retained a measure of self-governance. It was only under the British colonial rule that this tradition was disrupted. Centralized administration and revenue collection took governance away from local hands, weakening the fabric of participatory decision-making. Thus, when independent India adopted a democratic and parliamentary system based on the universal adult franchise in 1950, it was not a new beginning, but rather the revival of the very old tradition, a reconnection to India's ancient democratic ethos. In essence, our modern elections are not just a political process. They are the continuation of a historical journey, one that began thousands of years ago when Indians first gathered in assemblies to express their collective will and shape their own destiny. Now, if we move to the next slide, we will be focusing on the Election Commission of India, the institution that makes all this happen. The Election Commission of India, commonly known as the ECI, is one of the most vital institutions in our democracy. So, when was it established? It was established on January 25, 1950, and it is a constitutional body entrusted with conducting elections to the Parliament, state legislatures, and the offices of the President and the Vice President. Under Article 324 of the Indian Constitution, the Commission has the power of superintendence, direction, and control over the entire electoral process. We will focus on the theme whether the Election Commission of India is the guardian of democracy or the institution that is under constant strain. So ECI's mission is very clear. We all know it. हम सब जानते हैं कि it ensures free, fair and transparent elections, but it also prepares and updates electoral rolls, supervises political party registration, enforces the model code of conduct and conducts voter awareness programs. It also implements key electoral laws, such as Representation of People Acts of 1960 and 51, which lay down the framework for election management in India. Over the decades, ECI has played an indispensable role in strengthening public faith in India's democracy, often described as the world's largest electoral exercise. However, in the recent years, Election Commission has found itself as the center of growing political controversy. Recently, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi accused the Commission of being complicit, and he described it as vote chori or vote theft. According to him, Thousands of names were deliberately deleted or added from voter lists across several constituencies through centralized software manipulation, a move allegedly favoring certain political parties, here obviously the BJP. These accusations have ignited a national debate on whether the sanctity of electoral rolls is being compromised. So in response, obviously Election Commission had to give a response. So they came on strongly and rejected these claims, calling them baseless and misleading. इन्होंने बोला कि या तो गांधी जी सबमिट करें साइंस एफिडेविट या एविडेंस करें इशू करें या तो पब्लिक अपॉलजी डाल दें. The commission argued that it was clear and transparent. Procedures for voter registration and deletion are under the registration of electoral rules of 1960, and that the political parties receive copies of electoral rolls at every revision stage. It reiterated that India's electoral process remains robust and secure, a voter base exceeding 900 million citizens, though with increasing complexity. Now, yet beyond the single controversy lies a broader concern, the growing perception of institutional decline. Can we have the next slide, please? So the senior advocate and the member of parliament, Kapil Sibal, has gone so far as to call Election Commission a failed institution. He argues that many citizens have lost confidence in its ability to function impartially, describing it as dysfunctional in fulfilling its constitutional mandate. According to Sibal, ECI's silence on several critical issues, from alleged bias to delayed responses to complaints, reflect a worrying erosion of accountability. Critics point out that there are three main areas of concern that need to be fulfilled. First, impartiality. The belief that Commission should act as a neutral arbiter between all political parties when decisions appear to favor one side, even in perception, the credibility of the institution suffers. Second is transparency. Questions are often raised about how voter lists were revised, how complaints are handled, and whether the ECI's communication is enough with public about its processes. Now, third and the most important, public trust. The foundation of any democracy lies in citizens' belief that their vote counts. Once that belief is shaken, institutions themselves will lose all legitimacy. Now, to be fair, Election Commission continues to operate under immense pressure. Managing elections in a country as vast and diverse and politically charged as India is a monumental task. The Commission has also led significant innovations, such as introduction of electronic voting systems, voter-verified paper audit trails, and the campaigns to boost voter participation among women and youth. These reforms have streamlined the process and reduced the fraud to a considerable extent. Nevertheless, the institution must always evolve to meet new challenges. Greater transparency in electoral roll management, independent oversight in appointments, and open communication with political parties and citizens are vital to restoring confidence. The ECI must also proactively address misinformation and take prompt action on credible complaints, not merely to defend its image, but to protect the democratic spirit it represents. So in essence, the Election Commission stands at a crossroads. On one hand, it remains the guardian of Indian democracy, conducting elections that are envy of the world. On the other hand, it faces mounting scrutiny over its credibility and independence. The way forward lies not in confrontation, but in reform, openness, and renewed commitment to the values that shaped it in 1950: neutrality, transparency, and unwavering protection of people's mandate. In a democracy as vast as India, the strength of Election Commission is not measured merely by its power, but by the trust it commands from every voter itself. Now, that being said, this slide, which is now being presented, shows the difference between the British and the Indian electoral framework. We always have to know it because Britishers, after all, gifted us this. When we talk about democracy, both India and United Kingdom stand tall as parliamentary systems, rooted in the Westminster model. Yet, despite sharing this foundation, the way our two nations conduct elections could not be more different in scale, procedure, and spirit. The United Kingdom until 2011 The Prime Minister had the privilege of deciding whether to call elections, often using that power strategically to favor the ruling party. India, on the other hand, completely removed that advantage. The Election Commission of India is an independent constitutional body who alone decides the election schedule, ensuring a fair and impartial process. Then comes the matter of scale. The UK elects 650 members to its parliament, each representing roughly 70,000 voters. In contrast, India elects 543 members to Lok Sabha, with each MP representing over 1.6 million citizens. Managing an electorate of nearly a billion voters is logistical challenge unmatched anywhere in the world. Obviously, the campaign styles stand in sharp contrast. In Britain, electioneering is simple, subdued, mostly door-to-door visits, community meeting, and very limited media engagement. While campaigns in India, election campaigns have become grand spectacles. Colorful rallies, celebrity endorsements, social media blitz, and massive public meetings. Despite the spending limits, political funding remains a grey area in our Indian elections. So when it comes to polling, UK still uses paper ballots with no security sources or voter identification checks. It operates largely on trust. While in India, using electronic voting machine backed by voter ID verification and tight security is always used to maintain integrity across vast, varied regions, from remote mountains to urban megacities. While UK's elections are smooth, calm, largely self-regulated, India's are vibrant, noisy, and deeply participatory. A true festival of democracy that requires both administrative precision and civic enthusiasm. As S.Y. Qureshi beautifully notes in his Indian Express article, The Westminster Anarchy, both countries share the same democratic roots, but India's diversity, size, complexity makes its electoral process one of the most ambitious and inspiring democratic exercises in the world. Now for the next slide, we need to focus on what British gave us as a framework. We will understand the Representation of People Act 1950. The Representation of People Act 1950 is a cornerstone of India's electoral framework. Enacted on May 12, 1950, its primary objective is to lay groundwork for the conduct of elections to parliament and state legislatures. The Act addresses several key areas: allocation of seats and delimitation of constituencies. It defines the allocation of seats to the House of People, which is the Lok Sabha, and the state legislative assemblies, ensuring equitable representation across all regions. Preparation of electoral rolls. The Act mandates the preparation and maintenance of updated electoral rolls, facilitating an accurate, inclusive voter list. Qualification of voters. It specifies the qualification for voters, ensuring that all eligible citizens have a right to vote. Filling of seats in the Council of State. The Act outlines the manner of filling seats in Rajya Sabha, particularly those allocated to the Union territories. By establishing these provisions, the Representation of People's Act 1950 provides a structured, transparent process for elections, reinforcing the democratic fabric of India. Now for the next couple of slides, we will be focusing on what is the regional politics. Okay? So India's political landscape is as diverse as its population, language, and culture, and so was there a motive and need for the rise of regional parties. Let us understand this rise. Over the decades, one of the most significant developments in Indian democracy has been the rise of regional parties. These parties, focusing primarily on state or regional issues, have reshaped not only state politics but also national governance, forcing us to rethink the dynamics of power and representation. So if we go to some historical context, in the early decades following independence, the Indian National Congress dominated the political arena. It was a pan-Indian party that symbolized the struggle for freedom and national unity. However, as India's democracy matured, regional aspirations began to surface more prominently. By the 1960s and 1970s, several regional parties emerged to address local concerns that national parties often overlooked. The DMK in Tamil Nadu, for instance, rose from movements advocating Tamil identity and social justice. Similarly, the AGP in Assam and the SAD in Punjab emerged to champion the local interests. What do you think were the factors contributing to the rise of regional parties? Some of them are very simple, and all of them are interlinked. Cultural and ethnic identity. India's diversity has meant that local communities often felt their voices were marginalized by national parties. Regional parties offered a platform for linguistic, cultural, and ethnic representation, ensuring that these identities were not ignored in policy making. Economic disparities. Regional inequalities coupled with perceptions of neglect by central government motivated citizens to support local political parties. The Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, for instance, led the demand for a separate state to ensure better governance and development for the people of their region. Now, what are the failures of national parties to address this local issue? National parties, while strong at central level, often struggle to respond to localized grievances. In states like West Bengal, where agrarian movements and labor issues were ignored by national parties, regional and leftist parties were able to capture the popular mandate. Charismatic leaders. Leaders who could connect deeply with local population have been pivotal in building successful regional parties. Bal Thackeray, the founder of Shiv Sena in Maharashtra, leveraged his strong regional and cultural appeal to build a formidable political force. Similarly, leaders like Naveen Patnaik in Odisha have maintained long-term public support through consistent regional focus and governance. Caste and religion-based mobilization. In many states, regional parties have harnessed caste or religious identities to consolidate support. The Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh focuses on Yadav interests, while the Bahujan Samaj Party works for Dalit empowerment. These parties have provided political representation to communities that were historically marginalized in national politics. Now, this slide shows some of the major regional political parties in India, most of which we all know. And now we will focus on the impact these political parties are creating on Indian politics. The rise of regional parties has had a profound implication for India's democracy. Decentralization of power. Regional parties have strengthened federalism by advocating for greater state autonomy and local governance. Coalition politics. The inability of a single party to ensure absolute majority at the national level has made coalition government common. This gives regional parties significant leverage in shaping national policies. Enhanced representation. Regional parties ensure that local issues, sometimes overlooked at national level, receive attention in the parliament, leading to a more inclusive form of governance. They always face some challenges and criticism. Despite this importance, regional parties face the challenge. Many suffer from internal factionalism, which weakens organizational stability. Some are dynastically led, raising concerns about internal democracy. Additionally, a short-term local focus sometimes comes at the cost of national interests, creating tensions between the state and central priorities. The rise of regional parties is both a reflection and a response to India's diversity. While they introduce complexity into the political system, they also ensure that the voices of various regions, communities, and social groups are represented. In today's coalition-driven politics, regional parties are indispensable stakeholders in shaping India's democracy. Now we will be moving on to the imminent fall of the democratic elections. So we will have the next couple of slides dedicated to it. We will be focusing this with the occasional mention of the US elections. Democracy at its core rests on the trust between the people and the institutions that represent them. Yet, in the recent years, even the world's largest democracy, that is India, has faced challenges that test this trust. From the building electoral landscape of India to the established political system of electoral system in the United States. Both nations are navigating unprecedented threats to integrity of their democratic process. Today, I will briefly discuss the key challenges confronting elections in these two countries. Challenges that range from manipulation and weakening accountability, and the rise of polarized information. Understanding these issues is crucial not just for voters and policymakers, but for the health of democracy itself. First problem is the electoral manipulation in the US. Key issues include gerrymandering, voter suppression tactics, disinformation campaigns, vulnerabilities in election technology. While on the other hand, India has faced scrutiny over impartiality of the Election Commission, discrepancies in electoral rolls, and the misuse of technology and misinformation. These issues reached prominence in 2024 and 2025, creating what many describe as trust deficits in India's electoral process, particularly among the opposition parties. What is next? It's weakening accountability. In both countries, the past few years have been seen a decline in institutional oversight and transparency. In India, changes to anti-corruption and misinformation law have reduced checks, while in US, executive actions have challenged independent bodies and civil service protections. Thirdly is executive aggrandization. Concerns revolve around the concentration of power in India. This has meant centralization under the Prime Minister, use of ordinances to bypass legislature, and pressure on democratic institutions. In the US, similar concerns arise over expanding executive authority and weakening constitutional checks and balances. Finally, polarized misinformation. India faces severe misinformation crisis, which is now termed as WhatsApp University graduates, amplified by high internet penetration and low digital literacy, with political parties accused of using social media to divide communities along caste, religion, and political lines. While in US, deep ideological divides were heightened in 2024 elections, further fueled by AI-generated misinformation that exploits social tensions and amplifies conspiracy theories. In the next slide, we are focusing on why there should be safe elections. Both democracies, despite different contexts, are grappling with threats that challenge trust, accountability, and very foundation of democratic governance. Addressing these issues is essential to preserving the integrity of elections and public confidence in democratic institutions. This is how we can make elections safe again. We can bring back the trust again. And for the next slide, we will be focusing on how India still wins this trust. The challenges facing democratic elections today, whether in India or the United States, are complex but not insurmountable. Electoral manipulation, weakening accountability, executive outreach, and the spread of misinformation all threaten the trust and integrity that form the foundation of democracy. To safeguard our future, it is imperative to strengthen institutions, ensure transparency, and uphold the principles that make democracy resilient. Ultimately, the responsibility lies both government and citizens to make elections safe again, so that every vote counts, every voice is heard, and the spirit of democracy thrives. Thank you.
Thank you so much for breaking out the whole topic and elaborating about the differences, the limitations, and the basic understanding of the whole electoral system of the India. So thank you so much once again. Now let's move forward for Q&A session. So my first question is, which I'm very curious about, is that uh, what role do regional parties, because you have talked about them, so what role do regional parties play in representing sub-national identities of this nation of India?
Uh, Regional, this question is directed to me, right?
Should what? I'm just
I am saying this question is directed to me, right?
yeah, it is for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So regional parties often have some kind of regional aspirations they want to fulfill. If we talk about Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, the reason why it has a lot of trust among people is because he, Arvind Kejriwal, interacted with people at the lowest levels and talks to them about the reasons why Delhi is stagnant. Even though Delhi is the national capital territory of India. So the regional political parties often have a better interaction with people. Like Naveen Patnaik is always and always will be praised in Odisha, no matter what happens. This is how regional parties gain a lot of trust, and so the sub-national aspect of it is that even though sometimes it may happen that the regional aspiration may not be surmountingly important for the national interest, like asking for a new state. That is still taken into consideration by these parties and held in their beliefs.
Uh, all right, all right. That was a great answer. Now, one more question which I am asking is that because you have talked about the electoral process in India, and in the electoral process of India, we have the very basic unit, which is the voter. So, how does voter turnout, or how does voter reflect the health of Indian democracy?
The more the voters are engaged in the political participation, the healthier the democracy is. Because the more people turn out to represent their government, the more people turn out to appoint the government they want to work with, they want to live under, is how the democracy is actually instilled. So the more people participate in voting, or the more people participate in elections, the better the health and the democratic freedom of our country is.
All right. One more question, which I'm asking from team GSTS, which is that how was your experience with the Graduate Scholars Talk series so far, collectively from your society and individually from you as well?
From collectively as a society, we are grateful because we focus on learning more about our own subjects, while also focusing on what the scholars and what most experienced people have to say about those topics. So this gives us a lot of branching up, where we can learn that this is how we research. I did not know that all this went through to research. I read through all the papers, all the news articles in under 48 hours. That is a new high for me. So as a person, that inspired me a lot, and I'm pretty sure, because I will instill all this in my society members, asking them to now read the newspaper from up to front down and tell me what was their research on that topic. So this is a very branching experience for us. It has opened our minds to something which we did not think was capable in research.
Okay, thank you. And that is exactly what the idea of starting this initiative. This idea has always been there behind this initiative, that we should provide a platform, we should provide ideas to the new scholars who wants to speak and who wants to learn about the research areas and research techniques. All right. Now, moving forward and taking the session forward, I would like to invite Dr. Akram Raza once again for his final remarks over today's topic. So, sir, over to you now.
Am I audible?
Uh, yes, yes, you are audible, sir.
My
No, no,
Akram, can you switch off your camera
yeah,
so we
sure.
can able to hear you? Aha,
Sure.
because I think network connection is too bad. So yeah, and try. Otherwise, fine.
Now it is okay.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay. So before going to wrap up, I would like to share one of my experience. Uh, so a couple of years back, so I was in Oxford University, and as I am working on Libya and the democratic process of Libya, so I was presenting my paper there, and one of the organizers asked, "यार, how do you see कि लीबिया में कभी डेमोक्रेसी एस्टैब्लिश हो सकता है और कौन क्रिएट कर सकता है, मतलब वहां पे कौन एस्टैब्लिश कर सकता है?" So उन so my answer was कि they should learn from Indian perspective of democracy, and he was very wonder कि how you can say that India. So I said कि यार in India's perspective of democracy, we have equality, liberty, and justice everywhere. And the in और अगर हम देखते हैं कि इंडिया का हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड पूरा, तो हमेशा इन्वेजन रहा है, डिफरेंट रिलीजन जो है वो रूल कर रहे हैं इंडिया को, वेदर इट इज मतलब मुगल्स एम्पायर और मे बी ब्रिटिश एम्पायर। और उनके जाते ही क्या हुआ, हमारे यहाँ पे एक हेल्दी डेमोक्रेटिक मिच्योर डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोसेस हुआ। और और थर्ड वर्ल्ड में हम वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट, सॉरी मतलब थर्ड वर्ल्ड में द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल डेमोक्रेसी आई, नॉट इवन इन थर्ड वर्ल्ड बल्कि फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड में भी हम काफी ज्यादा सक्सेस रहे हैं डेमोक्रेसी। और वो सभी पूरा यूरोप जो था वो काफी हैरान था उस टाइम पे, यार इंडिया में कैसे ऐसा पॉसिबल हुआ। तो उसमें सबसे पहला पॉइंट आई सेड कि नॉन इंटरवेंशन, कि वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज हमेशा डेमोक्रेसी को देखता है कि उनका इंटरवेंशन। इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव में यहाँ पे जब एस्टेब्लिश हो रहा था डेमोक्रेसी, तो उस टाइम पर वेस्टर्न इंटरवेंशन नहीं था, तो उस वजह से हम लोग काफी अच्छे से सरवाइव करे हैं और काफी मेच्योर डेमोक्रेसी हमारा हुआ है। और अभी हम स्टिल नाउ वी आर वन ऑफ द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री। तो लिबर्टी के इंडेक्स में मैंने क्या बोलता कि यार आप लोग करते हैं, अब जैसे उन्होंने लिबर्टी आया तो लिबर्टी के लिए दे फॉट 1779 फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन, बट एक्चुअली में वुमेन्स को राइट टू लिबर्टी कब मिला था? 1946 में जाकर। वो काफी टाइम लग गया, अराउंड 170 ईयर्स में लगा। सेम अमेरिका में 1776 में दे फॉट फॉर देयर सिविल राइट्स, बट एक्चुअली में अमेरिका में वुमेन्स को कब मिला? काफी लेट। बट इंडिया बीइंग एज अ थर्ड वर्ल्ड नेशन, तो यहाँ पे हमें सेम टाइम पे इक्वालिटी दिखता है, लिबर्टी दिखता है और जस्टिस भी दिखता है हमें। So it was my experience, and he was like, then he even said, yes, it is possible. So, so this, so I would like to conclude. So, respected faculties, members, and the scholar and student, as we come to close this insightful session, I would like to briefly summarize and reflect on what we have explored today. So, starting with the journey, sorry, in the starting, we briefly go through the GSTS journey and stressing evolution and relevance, uh, as well as my sincere thanks to Manish sir for initiating this session, and the stakeholder from the Motilal Nehru College evening and Shyam Lal College evening for the support and the participation. A special appreciation goes to Nikita George, who has perfectly presented the guest of India's electoral system under the title Regional Aspirations Shapes National Destinies. Gangas to the Godavari, her presentation not only outlined the structure, rules, and institutions involved in the conducting elections, but also highlighted the role of opposition and political parties in shaping our democracy. Even I see democracy India का like कि एक जस्ट लाइक अ ट्री, तो डेमोक्रेसी के लिए जो इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस है बेसिकली वो उसकी रूट्स हैं। जैसे कि पेड़ का जो ट्री का जो रूट्स होता है वो डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोसेस है, और उसको कितना हेल्दी करना है, कितना बेटर स्टैब्लिश करना है, वेलफेयर फॉर द सोसाइटी करना है, वो हमको बाहर से दिखता है। जैसे पेड़ के फ्रूट्स होते हैं, पेड़ इतना अच्छे से खिलता है, तो सेम चीज नेशनल के लिए भी, हेल्दी डेमोक्रेसी के लिए भी सेम है इस तरह से। तो देन द सेशन beautifully widened our horizon, taking us from the democratic practices of ancient India to progress, challenges, and reform of 21st century. We also reflected on current challenges such as electoral malpractices, voter turnout, and logistic complexities, along with the suggestions for meaningful reforms. So I believe today's discussion has enriched our understanding of how India's democracy functions in practice and the responsibilities it places upon all of citizens. On that note, I would like to thank all the speakers, participants, and organizers once again for making this session informative and engaging. I hope the insights shared today continue to inspire thoughtful reflection and active participation in our democratic process. Thank you. And with this, we conclude the session. So, Manish, if you want to add something, please add.
Okay, no issues, no issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Akram Raza, for your remarks and for providing us a concluding summary of the whole session. So thank you so much, and again, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, in the row of the collaboration for the next week, for the next week's speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Shaur Pratap Singh for elaborating his objectives for the next Sunday, and the topic would be youth as catalysts of change in a rapidly evolving India. So, Mr. Shaur, if you are here, then kindly present your objectives for the next Sunday.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. Actually, due to some my camera is not working, so I will not able to switch on my camera. So basically, good evening, everyone. I am Shaurya Pratap Singh, currently pursuing BA Political Science Honors from Motilal Nehru College, Evening, University of Delhi. My topic for GSTS conversation is highly relevant and contemporary. I will be talking about youth as catalyst of change in rapid evolution India. Keeping that in mind, here are some key highlights of agenda I will be presenting in my Sunday talk. So the first is I will be discussing how the youth are playing an active role in bringing about social, political and economic change in India. Next, I will highlight the factors that have empowered young people to take leadership in shaping the future of our society and nation. And after that, we will explore some examples where youth initiatives have led to meaningful transformation in community and institute. Further, I will consider perspective from youth coming from diverse social and economic background and their contribution to change. And at the last, I will share my few experiences which I had faced during my 1 year or 2 year of experience in my Delhi University. And finally, I will share my own insights and reflects basic on my studies and understanding of the topic, emphasizing how youth can empower as agenda of change. And अंत में मैं यही कहना चाहूँगा कि उठो जागो तब तक अपने लक्ष्य के पीछे भागो जब तक लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति ना हो जाए। इसी नोट के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ।
Thank you so much, Mr. Shauri, for explaining your objectives. And I, on the behalf of the whole GSTS team, invite you all once again for next Sunday to join us in this series of collaboration with Manzil Society. Now, at the end, I would like to hand over the stage, the moderation to Dr. Manish Karmar for giving vote of thanks and for wrapping up this collaborative session.
Thank you, Salin. So my duty is to wrap up and invite few of scholars also. So in this series, I would like to invite uh, two of one teacher and one scholar from the audience. So, Miss Richa, if I are you here? So can you give us a sense and want to say something? Richa, are you here? Okay, maybe. Dr. Akriti from Shyam Lal Evening College, because this is platform belongs to your department and your college, want to say something, Dr. Akriti?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me. So, yeah, actually, when I was listening to this presentation, my mic or something like that, my speaker wasn't working, so I didn't hear it properly. But the topic is really interesting. And I want to add one thing that if we talk about regional aspirations in our electoral system, so as I'm also teaching this paper as Contemporary India, Making of Indian Constitution. So when I got to know, and it is really interesting that how the constitutional debates incorporated all those ideas which were actually given by many regional representatives of India, and the question of language became very important at that time. So I feel it is really, and it is still very important because we can see now these days, many instances are coming from Maharashtra and Karnataka, and raging questions about national language and how they are imposing or asserting their language hegemony. So it is really important to understand that how this constitution was formed and what was the role of Election Commission of India, and in this diverse economy and in this diverse society, how they played very important role. So thank you so much, sir, and thank you, Motilal Nehru Evening College. Thank you so much, Manzil Society.
Thank you, Dr. Akriti. Thank you. So, when I was at college, I love to teach one paper. The paper, it is making of the Constitution, and somehow that was very boring paper in this context that how the same again and again the same cheese, same concept or same idea we have to give to the our students. But that was a challenge for me also, how to make all the paper interesting. So I converted this paper to the conversation, in conversation. That means people go and take some interviews to the anyone, everyone. So I send my students to the different colleges, and so nobody is aware about the primarily thing that constituent assembly, I think around the 300 members, 299 or 300 members, they sit together, and that whole debate, the most interesting part of the constitution, I know that it is not the talk of the constitution, but when you go through the discussion from almost for the UPSC, because Manjil it's all for the UPSC, it's almost took 3 years, but it's fine. It's not about the 3 years or 2 years, but you know the 300 intellectuals sit one place, and it was never happened again in the whole process of Indian history. So look, this is the strong and build of our constitution. Maybe we played and here and there with the constitution, but it was a humongous exercise, and that exercise only one times happened when the History of Africa written by UNESCO. UNESCO History of Africa, 350 scholars sit together and wrote that History of Africa, UNESCO series of History of Africa. So the limited point, what I'm trying to say, the strongness and the idea of our constitution, and that constitution leads toward the regional party, political party, this and that. So we feel, though this is very again and again, um, this is very sometimes rhetoric or a boring topic to understand, but we do not forget that the 3 years or 4 years, 1947 to 1950, the rigorously our leaders, true leaders, they made our constitution. And in this retrospect, we can understand the democracy, the regional parties, and the political understanding. So every time we went for the court for this and for that, so we can respect our constitution, and this wise we can respect everyone and every leader, be it the BJP, be it the Congress, left, up, center, right. They're doing wonderful work, because as a student, as a teacher, we cannot do the work they are doing because they connected to the masses, and this is the most important thing. So this is the right time, because this is not time to debate and debate every time. This time to the work. अभी तक हम अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे ही डिबेट करते रहेंगे तो क्या फायदा इतने सालों के इंडिपेंडेंस का. सो नाउ दिस टाइम टू वर्क विद द ब्यूरोक्रेसी, विद दोज रीजनल लीडर्स, masses, those who conquered the masses. So this is the time to academia, young scholar like Nikita George. Risha, I know that you are here, but it's fine because I'm in strike, so I'm not going to give you a strike. So this is a very appropriate time that Nikita George took this topic, and when she came firstly, just like a UPSC student, but now because our college and institution, we are not promoting we are not creating IAS officers. We are creating the research scholars. So this is the my intention to create something research out of the concrete uh, fact and figures. So that's why we had a good discussion with the Nikita George, and now she's absolutely wonderful. So thank you, Nikita, for giving us a wonderful idea for a rhetoric topic. Thank you very much, Manjil, that the Debating Society or UPSC Society of Motilal Nehru Evening College principal, and my acquaintance and the faculty from Motilal Nehru College, Dr. Raja, Akram Raja. I know because a few days he was in my department, Department of African Studies. So thank you, Akram, for joining us and giving us a wonderful idea and your experience with the Egypt or Libya you're talking about, because
Yes,
network
sir.
problem was there. Yes, and
Libya.
it was really fantastic. Libya, yes. So everybody understand and try to find out some idea from Indian Constitution, though our constitutions from the part and parcel of the again different so many several countries. So it's fine. We took so many ideas and create a good constitution for the India. So thank you very much, Motilal Nehru College, Shyam Lal Evening College, and faculty members from the different colleges and students, scholars from graduate, postgraduate, MPhil and PhD. It's a wonderful evening. So thank you very much. And yesterday, Seychelles had elections. And the new president was there. Seychelles is a very beautiful country in Africa. And in the coming days, Bihar is also going to face elections. So with this note, thank you very much. Have a nice day. And thank you, Nikita George, for giving us a wonderful idea with a wonderful vocabulary and modulation. No modulation, but wonderful vocabulary and interesting ideas. So, Nikita, thank you. Where are you? So, thank you. The
Thank
star
you,
of the
sir.
day.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care. All the best. Thank you.